Nvidia's data center business makes more money in 13 weeks than Intel makes in a year, selling everything. Last quarter alone, $75.2 billion. Intel's entire 2025 revenue, $52.85 billion. Everyone calls this a monopoly, but follow the money, and it's something stranger, a war. 3 fronts, a king, a rebellion, 2 challengers, and 1 company quietly getting paid by every side. This is the AI chip war, explained. One note before we start. This is a breakdown, not a recommendation. Nothing here is financial advice. 3 years ago, this market barely existed. Heading into late 2022, Nvidia's entire data center business was earning about $15 billion a year. Then ChatGPT launched. The giant cloud builders panicked in the most expensive way possible. With their wallets, within a year, data center revenue hit $47.5 billion, up 217%. Today, $75.2 billion in a single quarter. That is 5 times its old annual business, every 13 weeks. Growth like that broke the market's normal logic. Chips became scarce. And when chips are scarce, buying them stops being a price decision and becomes a survival decision. Who gets supply? Whoever writes the biggest checks earliest. That locked in Nvidia's lead for a while. To follow this war, you only need to see the market's 3 layers. Layer 1. Merchant chips, general-purpose AI processors anyone can buy, Nvidia, AMD, and at the margins, Intel, highest margins, highest risk of being replaced. Layer 2. Custom silicon, chips designed for one customer's exact workload, cheaper to run, locked to the buyer. This is Broadcom's territory. Layer 3. The foundry, whoever physically manufactures all of it. And nearly every serious AI chip on Earth, from every side of this war, is manufactured by one company, TSMC. Keep those 3 layers in mind. Each one is winning a different game. Start at the top. Analysts estimate Nvidia controls 80 to 85% of AI accelerator revenue. Everyone else, mainly AMD and Intel, splits what's left. And its edge is not just chips. Nvidia sells pre-integrated AI factories, processors, networking, and the software layer developers already know. Competitors keep aiming at the chip and missing the system. Want proof of how deep demand runs? Export controls cut Nvidia's data center chip shipments to China from $4.6 billion a quarter to 0. Nvidia absorbed that entire loss and still grew 92%. Today it is worth $5.11 trillion, as of July 12th, the most valuable company on Earth. But here's the detail most coverage skips. Only about half of Nvidia's data center revenue comes from the tech giants. The other half comes from AI clouds, enterprises, and governments, customers who could never design their own chips. So, Nvidia is diversifying towards the customers with the least power to negotiate, while its most sophisticated customers quietly head for the exit. Even Nvidia's own behavior is a clue. Management has started handing cash back to shareholders. Big buybacks, a bigger dividend. Read generously, that is confidence. Read skeptically, it is a company signaling it has more money than places to invest it. Because here is the king's real problem. Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon plan to spend roughly $700 billion on AI infrastructure in 2026. That is their estimated plan, up from around $410 billion last year. Those 4 companies alone are about half of Nvidia's data center business, and at those prices, every dollar of Nvidia's famous margins comes out of their pockets. So they are funding an escape route, custom chips, not by building chip teams from scratch, by co-designing with Broadcom, whose client list reads like AI royalty, Google, Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic. The economics are simple. Any AI workload stable enough to hardwire moves onto cheaper custom silicon. The experimental frontier stays on Nvidia. The result? Broadcom's AI revenue hit $10.8 billion last quarter, up 143%. 1.5 times Nvidia's own growth rate. Next quarter, Broadcom itself guides to $16 billion. This fiscal year around $56 billion, and its target for next year more than $100 billion. One honest caveat, those figures bundle in networking gear, not just chips, but the direction is unmistakable. And notice what kind of loss this is for Nvidia. This revenue is not being competed away. No rival won it with a better chip. Nvidia's own customers are walking out and building the chips themselves. It is defecting. Then come the challengers, and their incentives are stranger than they look. AMD earned $5.8 billion in data center revenue last quarter, up 57%. A record, though that figure includes its regular server processors, not just AI chips, and still a fraction of Nvidia's number. What could change that ships this year? Helios, AMD's first true rack-scale system, 72 of its newest GPUs wired into a single machine, aimed squarely at Nvidia's systems moat, not just its chips. The deals are already signed. OpenAI, 6 gigawatts of AMD hardware, starting with 1 gigawatt this year. Meta, another 6 gigawatts. But notice what those customers are actually buying. They are not betting AMD dethrones Nvidia. They are funding as second source because a credible alternative caps what Nvidia can charge everyone. Which means AMD can succeed for its customers and still disappoint its own shareholders. Watch what Helios costs to run, not the announcement headlines. And Intel is not fighting for the crown at all. Its new inference chip makes a contrarian bet. Skip high-bandwidth memory and the scarcest, most fought-over part in the entire supply chain, and use cheap commodity memory in a simple air-cooled card. If running AI models becomes a race to the bottom on cost, that bet looks clever. So far, no major cloud has committed. Now step back and ask, who gets paid in every one of those futures? Nvidia's chips, Broadcom's custom silicon, AMD's racks, nearly all of it is manufactured by one company, TSMC. The war is TSMC's business model. Its numbers read like a war economy. Revenue last quarter, $35.9 billion, up 35%. High-performance computing, the segment that includes AI chips, is now 61% of everything TSMC makes. Gross margin, 66.2%. And it is pouring $50 to $56 billion into new fabs, the giant factories where chips are made, while warning that supply stays tight into 2027. Whoever wins the war, the arms dealer gets paid. So is this a bubble or a supercycle? Here's the honest version of both sides. The bull case, demand still outruns supply. The company that would know, TSMC, says constraints last into 2027 and raised its outlook anyway. Nvidia lost China entirely and barely flinched. Custom chips may grow the market rather than steal it, stable workloads move off, while new frontier work keeps landing on Nvidia. And Bloomberg Intelligence projects this market passes $600 billion by 2033. If that is even roughly right, everyone in this war wins for years. The bear case, 4 companies fund this entire boom, and they are actively engineering their way out of its most expensive layer. Broadcom's 143% growth is not a future threat, it is the displacement already happening. Some of the demand is circular, chip makers investing in AI labs that turn around and buy their chips, and after a year of record spending increases, a single digestion year would hit every name on this board at once. History should make Nvidia nervous too. Take Intel. It kept breaking sales records for years, even after it had clearly missed the next big shifts, first smartphones, then AI. The lesson? A chip giant's record numbers can hide a lost future. They show who won the last race, not the next one. So what settles it? 4 dates, write them down. August 26th, Nvidia reports. Does data center growth hold above 90%? Early September, Broadcom. Does AI revenue actually hit the $16 billion guide? This fall, AMD's Helios lands in real data centers at what real economics? And early 2027, the 4 big spenders reveal next year's budgets. That single line item underwrites everything you just heard. We track this war as a series, one playlist, one running story, updated when the numbers drop. Subscribe for the next chapter. The AI chip war has 3 fronts, but keep your eye on the quiet 4th player. In a gold rush, sell shovels. In a chip war, own the fab.